My spouse confessed. I replaced your specimen at the fertility center with my former partner's. I desired our child to have blue eyes. I responded, fascinating decision. Following that, I contacted the center to notify them of healthcare deception and forwarded the audio to her former partner's spouse, right as the center terminated her treatment round and permanently barred her. I, a 46-year-old man, work as a forensic actuary. My professional life revolves around evaluating risks, examining probabilities, and uncovering deception for large insurance companies. I examine information, spot the irregularity, and reject the payout. I don't depend on intuition or positive thinking. I depend on solid, undeniable proof. If the figures don't align, I withhold approval. I've been wed to Jessica, 36F, for 4 years. We connected when I was 42. I was financially secure, without debts, and seeking a companion. Jessica appeared as the ideal executive spouse. Refined, eloquent, driven. At least, that's how she presented herself. Jessica has a fixation on appearances. Her social media feed is a neutral-tone gallery dedicated to flawlessness. Every detail must be precisely arranged. I put up with it since she maintained the home in order and, truthfully, I appreciate a structured environment. I maintain my money in separate accounts, safeguarded by a trust and a standard prenuptial agreement for my field, yet I supported our way of living quite lavishly. We had been attempting to start a family for 2 years. Without success, we progressed to in vitro fertilization. I'm the one covering the costs for this process. My coverage pays for only a small portion, but we've spent around $45,000 personally on high-end treatments, embryo screening, and drugs. I regarded it as a commitment to our future lineage. I desired a kid to mentor, to nurture, to pass my wealth to. Jessica, I believe, sought an accessory to finish her ideal family image. We were midway through our second treatment round. The oocyte collection had been completed. We possessed 5 healthy embryos stored frozen. The implantation was set for the following week. That previous Friday evening, we were toasting the positive update on the embryo viability. Jessica consumed a little excess wine. She becomes talkative under the influence, her restraint fading with each sip of costly white wine. We were seated on the deck, the outdoor heater burning, and she was browsing her device, viewing infant pictures on a design site. I'm so eased, she mumbled faintly, beaming at her display. It will be flawless. Blue eyes. Absolutely blue eyes. Like that ideal infant model. I stopped. I possess deep brown eyes. Jessica has greenish-brown eyes. Inheritance patterns can be complex. Hidden traits are possible. But, absolutely blue, felt oddly confident from a statistical standpoint. Jess, I remarked, turning my scotch. Neither of us carries blue eyes. It's probabilistically improbable. Achievable, but slim odds. She chuckled. A shadowy, knowing chuckle. She bent forward and patted my leg, her gaze sparkling with a hidden truth. I realize we don't, but Chad possesses them. Chad, her old boyfriend from university. The one she always regretted losing. The individual now wedded with 3 children and residing a couple of communities away. Someone who reached his prime in university and now trains clients professionally. My veins turned icy. I remained composed. In my field, upon detecting an inconsistency in the records, you don't shout. You probe. You allow the counterpart to continue speaking until they incriminate themselves fully. What exactly do you mean, Jess? I inquired, maintaining an even tone, pretending to find it entertaining. How is Chad connected to our embryos? She gazed at me, vision blurred, evidently assuming I shared the humor or was simply intoxicated enough not to mind the consequences. The specimen, dummy, she murmured, pressing a finger to her mouth. Recall when you provided at home last month since you were occupied with the acquisition and couldn't visit the center that day? I recalled. I had a director's session. I collected the specimen at dawn, placed it in the approved container, affixed the tag, closed the protective pouch, and gave it to her to deliver to the center. It's routine as long as it's delivered promptly. I recall, I stated. Well, she grinned slyly. I took a detour. Chad encountered me at the coffee shop en route. He supplied his material. I exchanged them in the restroom. I affixed your tag to his container. And there you have it, blue eyes. Superior traits. No disrespect, darling, but your relatives have that prominent nose. Chad is visually ideal. She reclined, appearing satisfied. as if she'd outsmarted the process. I gazed at her. I experienced a visceral impact to my torso, akin to a specialized round striking body armor. It didn't pierce right away, but the force was overwhelming. She had disposed of my genetic contribution. She had perpetrated healthcare deception. She had involved her past lover to sire a offspring she intended for me to support, finance, and bequeath my legacy to. She intended to mislead me for the coming 18 years, permitting me to parent another man's offspring, solely for blue eyes in her social media posts. Fascinating decision, I remarked. My tone was flat. Isn't it? She exhaled. This is superior. You'd be the father, naturally. You're funding it. You're the spouse. But the child must be adorable. You get it. It's for the feed. I get it completely, I replied. I rose. I'll fetch some water. I entered the kitchen area. I didn't fetch water. I retrieved my device. I launched the audio recorder application. I verified the charge. 40%. Sufficient. I returned outside. Jess, I stated, resuming my seat. Just to confirm the strategy. You discarded my specimen? Flushed it in the coffee shop restroom. She chuckled. Farewell, cells. And Chad simply consented? He is aware. Oh, he finds it amusing. He endorsed a donation form I downloaded online for safety, but he knows you'll parent it. He merely wished to assist. He understands my priority on visuals. Additionally, he owed me. And the center? They believe it's mine. Naturally. They didn't verify identification on the contents, Mike. They accepted the pouch from me. I completed the submission paperwork. Simple as that. Understood, I said. Blue eyes. Clever. I ended the recording. I'm exhausted, I mentioned. Heading to rest. She remained to complete the wine. I retreated to the spare bedroom, secured the door, and began operations. I didn't rest. I didn't weep. I computed. Stage 1. The decisive action. I dedicated the following 4 hours constructing the documentation dossier. Step 1. The center's responsibility. It was late evening, yet I composed an immediate formal alert to the center's administrator, chief physician, and compliance team. Topic: critical. Healthcare deception. Break in protocol chain. Individual. My spouse, Jessica, obviously, confessed to me this evening that the semen specimen submitted on that date was not from me. She confessed to exchanging my specimen with an unauthorized parties, her past boyfriend, sans my approval. Moreover, she indicated that your personnel received the material from her without confirming the provider's identity or maintaining proper custody chain, constituting a severe breach of healthcare guidelines and privacy regulations. I am the account holder. I withhold consent for any embryo implantation. I require an instant suspension of all activities. I enclose an audio capture of her admission. Should any implantation proceed, I shall pursue legal action against this center for professional negligence, parentage deception, and severe oversight. Audio enclosed. Step 2. Safeguarding resources. I accessed our financial portals. Due to my occupation, I hold my main holdings in a flexible trust inaccessible to Jessica. Nevertheless, we shared a common current account for domestic costs that presently contained approximately $40,000, my recent incentive placed for an intended upgrade. I moved the entirety of those resources to my trust. I revoked the additional premium credit card she held. I revoked her connectivity to the electric vehicle application. The vehicle is rented under my firm's name. Step 3. The former partner. I was acquainted with Chad. I was acquainted with Chad's spouse, Karen. Karen is an intimidating figure. She serves as a dispute lawyer for a drug manufacturer. She devours deception daily. I located her contact in the community listing. Topic: Chad's contribution. Content: Karen. You ought to be informed that Chad supplied a semen specimen to my spouse, Jessica, on that date, for utilization in our fertility treatment unbeknownst to me. Jessica confessed this evening. They convened at the coffee chain on Main Street for the exchange. I have halted the treatment and notified of the deception, yet I believed you should learn your spouse is distributing genetic material to past partners secretly. Audio enclosed. I submitted. Step 4. The departure. I prepared luggage. I gathered my travel document, official birth record, storage devices with financial records, and my ancestor's timepiece. I departed the residence at 3 a.m. Jessica was unconscious on the deck chair, her device still illuminated nearby. I navigated around her vacant bottle and exited. Update 1. The following morning, I lodged at a city center inn. At 8:05 a.m., my device went off repeatedly. Initially, the administrator contacted me directly. She appeared deeply alarmed. Mr. Name, we obtained your message. We have promptly isolated the embryos. We are initiating a thorough review. We have terminated Mrs. Name's planned implantation. We are marking her record. I require complete reimbursement, I stated evenly. For the collection, the combining, and the prescriptions. $45,000. Transferred to my account by end of week. Sir, we generally do not reimburse for completed services. You received a specimen that violated custody protocols. I interrupted. You neglected to confirm provider identification. You generated embryos with deceptive genetics due to your reception staff's negligence. Should the transfer not arrive by Friday, my subsequent contact is the regulatory board and media outlets. Picture the stories. Center embeds unknown semen due to skipped verification. Quiet. I'll consult finance, she murmured faintly. At 9 a.m., Jessica rang. I declined. She rang repeatedly. 22 attempts in a quarter hour. Then the message arrived. The center contacted me. They terminated the implantation. They mentioned a restriction. They stated I'm prohibited from entry. Mike, what actions did you take? I responded solely with the audio of her admission. Then I composed. I evaluated the exposure. The agreement is invalidated by deception. I've initiated dissolution proceedings. My attorney will contact about your removal. Then, the highlight. At 10:30 a.m., a message from an unfamiliar contact. This is Karen. Gratitude for the details. Chad is presently weeping in the cooking area. I have reviewed the audio. Should you require a testifier in your dissolution for the infidelity deception, I am on standby. Additionally, I trust you dismantled her world. I intend to dismantle his. Chad wasn't merely assisting. It emerged that Chad and Jessica had exchanged messages for months. The specimen exchange was merely the surface. Karen discovered the communications on his device, post my message. They were exchanging explicit notes about creating an attractive infant and how I was merely the financier covering costs. I avoided the residence for 3 days. I dispatched a legal deliverer to present Jessica with dissolution documents. I alleged infidelity and attempted parentage deception. She declined to depart the residence. She fortified herself inside. My attorney, Helen, recommended aggressive tactics. The property is held in your trust, Helen noted. She lacks tenancy rights. She's an occupant. Yet, given her marital status, we must avoid improper removal. Still, we can eliminate luxuries. I disconnected the web service. I disconnected television. I terminated yard maintenance. I terminated pool temperature control. I terminated meal delivery. And importantly, I issued an official vacate notice, providing 30 days per local regulations for an at-will resident. Jessica eventually communicated via message since I restricted her calls. Message topic: You're destroying my existence. Content: You're deranged. It was merely a specimen. You'd appear as father on the document. I acted for our benefit. You recognize the importance of visuals in my career. She's an image advisor. You ruined Chad's union as well. Karen expelled him and is claiming everything. Why so trivial over Irish shade? You must resolve this with the center. They barred me. They stated no future care there. They added me to a restricted list distributed to others. I sent the message to Helen. Incorporate into proof collection. The center exceeded barring. They notified the Area Reproductive Authority of attempted reproductive material deception. Jessica is marked nationally. No credible facility in a wide radius will accept her. She attempted to design an infant and wound up barred by regulations. Update 3. The confrontation. I went back to the property on the 5th day with law enforcement accompaniment, standby support, to collect remaining items and record her occupancy for removal proceedings. Jessica was present. She appeared devastated. The flawless image had vanished. She donned soiled lounge pants, bare face, hair disheveled, eyes swollen from tears. Mike, she cried, advancing toward me. The enforcer intervened. Mike, please. I'm regretful. I was intoxicated. It was foolish. But we can repair. We can utilize your specimen. I desire your child still. I'll agree to anything. You don't desire my child, Jessica, I stated, retreating, viewing her with the indifference I reserve for erroneous calculations. You clarified that. You seek an accessory, and you deceive me daily for decades to obtain it. But I adore you, she yelled, collapsing to the floor. A dramatic display for the enforcer. You attempted to fool me into parenting your past boyfriend's offspring, I remarked icily. That's not adoration. That's parasitic nesting. And I'm not the host. I'm the property holder. What now for me? She lamented. I lack funds. You emptied the funds. I reclaimed my funds, I clarified. As per the prenup, Clause 5, Paragraph 2, individual holdings stay individual. You possess your personal account, the one for your advisory work. Utilize it. Only $400 remains, she confessed, crying into the flooring. That's a cash flow issue, I noted. I recommend disposing assets. Perhaps auction those luxury purses I purchased. Oh, correct, those are presents. Retain them. Best wishes online. I passed her. I collected my sporting equipment, cigar storage, and premium coffee device she never mastered. As I departed, she yelled, You'll end solitary, Mike. You're an emotionless machine. Chad surpassed you doubly. Chad is now without home. I replied, placing the coffee device in my vehicle. So I favor my chances. Update 4. The supporters and the reimbursement. Jessica's parent, Linda, contacted me. Michael, certainly a mix-up. Jessica is distraught. She claims you alleged sample exchange. Unthinkable. Jessica is virtuous. She wouldn't. She confessed on record, Linda, I stated. And involved Chad. Recall Chad? The one she betrayed her university partner with? The one you labeled worthless? Well, Linda faltered. Even assuming, isn't dissolution drastic? She sought a lovely grandchild for us. Is that unlawful? Consider the infant. No infant exists, Linda. Embryos eliminated. It was deception, violation of terms, and ethically abhorrent. Your child is deceitful. Farewell. I restricted Linda. Then her acquaintances messaged privately. You're an unsure diminutive male unable to accept a female, directing her fertility. So what if Chad's material? Genetics don't define parenthood. Affection does. You didn't pass. I avoided debate. I avoided response. I captured images of each. I forwarded to Karen, Chad's spouse. Reason? Those acquaintances connected to Chad too. And Karen pursued vengeance. Karen responded, Appreciated, Mike. I note Sarah and Jen were aware of the liaison. I'll pass these to their partners. Observe their confidence. 2 days on, rumors indicated Sarah's partner checked into lodging. Karen is thorough. I admire her. The center transferred $45,000 Friday, accompanied by a confidentiality pact requesting no public mention of the center's identity. I endorsed it. The center itself irrelevant. The funds matter. Jessica claimed portion of reimbursement. Shared property? Her attorney, an inexpensive hire, contended. No, Helen rebutted. Mike covered from trust, premarital resources. We possess transfer records. And given termination from her unlawful act, she lacks entitlement. Actually, we pursue her for deliberate emotional harm. Update 5. The final ploy. We attended negotiation months later. Jessica arrived solo. Her attorney dismissed her over unpaid fee. She seemed diminished, overcome. She had resided in a budget in post-removal completion. Mike, she murmured over the surface. I bear updates. Major updates. I glanced at Helen, my attorney. She sighed dismissively. I'm expecting, Jessica announced, touching her abdomen. I stilled. What? I confirmed yesterday. It's yours. Likely just prior your departure. Please, Mike. Our new opportunity. I accessed my device. I viewed my schedule. Jessica, I noted. We lacked intimacy 3 months. Pre-collection, you cited discomfort from treatments. Separate sleeping. She blanched. No. We that evening. The gathering evening. I attended conference in Chicago then, I stated. I hold travel proofs. Accommodation records. I was distant greatly, she stuttered. She perspired. Whose? I questioned. Chad's. Quiet. You coupled with Chad? I stated. Post-expulsion, in desperation. She gazed downward, tears flowing. I felt isolated. I believed, if expecting, perhaps he'd depart Karen. Perhaps support me since you left me. So clarify. I stated, tone laced with scorn. You sought to deceive me with Chad's material and treatment. I detected. Then, frantically, you coupled naturally with Chad to ensnare him. and now attempt to claim as mine. I require aid, she cried. No place. Karen claimed Chad's assets. He's penniless. Resides in vehicle. Negotiation concluded. I informed the facilitator. She expects another's child. I seek immediate status separation. No further tie to this chaos. Final update. Half year on. The dissolution concluded recently. Due to proven betrayal via timeline and audio, plus unbreakable prenup, I retained all. Property mine. Pensions mine. Holdings mine. Reimbursement mine. Jessica received her vehicle, unaffordable now, surrendered recently, and attire. She departed with nothing financially. She now resides in a small unit with her parent, Linda, who relocated to assist rent since Jessica lacks advisory work. Her local standing ruined. She is about halfway through pregnancy. A male. Verified Chads. Chad labors at Discount Fitness Center, lodges cheaply. Karen claimed residence, offspring, pet. She stripped him bare. Chad desires no involvement with Jessica or infant. He labels Jessica the error destroying his existence. Jessica faces lone parenting without employment, partner, reluctant father, and parent reminding her of lost privileges. The fertility center employed her incident for training on updated safeguards. They mandate identification photo and biometric print for each submission. They term it the Jessica procedure. She gained notoriety, though undesired. Regarding myself, I'm seeing a lady named Elena. She's a child specialist. We encountered at a cafe, not that chain. On date 3, I shared the account. She gaped, shocked. She did what? Over iris color. Yes, I confirmed. That's clinically deranged, Elena remarked, and pathological. Precisely. Elena possesses brown eyes. I find them lovely. We're progressing gradually. No haste, no accessories, pure actuality. I passed the former residence recently. I chose to list it. Excess negative associations. A new pair acquired outright. I observed them coloring the child room pale. No sorrow. Relief. I evaded danger. Truly, evaded catastrophe. Jessica sought infant with blue eyes. She obtained one, yet forfeited the comfort, spouse, standing, and manipulated tomorrow. She overlooked fundamental risk principle. Greater the deception, severer the consequence. TLDR. Spouse confessed exchanging my semen specimen with former's infertility treatment for blue eyes desire. I captured audio, notified center of oversight, secured reimbursement, informed former spouse. Center prohibited her. Former spouse dissolved union. I departed her penniless via prenup. She now expects former's child from desperate post-separation encounter and resides in hardship.